Today I'll read you the chapter.
Traditional tango versus nuevo tango.
From my book, The Black and White of Argentine Tango. Both sides of tango's greatest debates.
The purpose of the book is to present both sides as honestly as possible without taking sides. You get the black, you get the white, and then you choose what shade of gray you want to use. Let's start. Traditional tango versus nuevo tango. Few debates in tango run as deep as this one. On the surface, it looks like an argument about steps, about how much space you take on the dance floor, about whether you stay in close embrace or open up. But underneath, it's really about something more fundamental. What tango actually is and what it's for. Both sides care deeply about the dance. Both sides believe they are honoring it. And both sides, when you listen carefully, are talking about connection. They just disagree about what connection means and how you get there. Traditional tango. There is something that close embrace and traditional tango gives you that nothing else quite does. When two people come together in a real embrace, chest to chest, walking together through a simple, honest walk, something happens that no amount of technique can manufacture. The dance becomes a conversation that words cannot have. Traditional tango grew out of the milongas of Buenos Aires, where ordinary people danced in small spaces, close together, with the music of the Golden Age orchestras surrounding them. Those milongueros were not thinking about combinations of movements or exploring abstract systems. They were feeling the music, feeling each other, and moving as one. That is what was passed down. Not a syllabus. A way of being with another person. When people in the traditional world talk about fewer steps, they are not talking about limitation. They are talking about focus. When you take away the complexity, when you commit to a simple walk and a close hold, you are forced to be fully present. There is nowhere to hide. Every small shift of weight, every breath, every pause in the music becomes meaningful. The space inside the simplicity is where the real dance lives. The close embrace also matters because of what it asks of two people. You cannot stay in that hold and be absent. You cannot look around the room or think about what you're going to do next. The embrace demands attention. It demands honesty. For many traditional dancers, this is not just a technique. It is the whole point. The moment someone opens the embrace and starts reaching for more complicated territory, that demand softens. The connection has room to leak out. There is also the question of what gets lost when the focus shifts to figures and combinations. Tango is not gymnastics. It is not a display. The traditional milonguero never wanted an audience. He wanted to feel the music with his partner, to walk well, to lead clearly, to have a few beautiful moments in the 12 minutes of a tanda. That simplicity is not a limitation of skill. Often, it is the highest expression of it. Anyone can learn a gancho. Not everyone can make a walking tango feel like something profound. And then there is the floor. A milonga is a shared space, and what you do in it affects everyone around you. When people start throwing big bolios and extending legs into the line of dance, it is not just a stylistic choice. It is a statement that your expression matters more than the comfort and safety of the people around you. Traditional tango, with its compact movements and awareness of space, is also a form of respect for the community, for the music, for the tradition that built the spaces where tango lives. Nuevo tango. Tango Nuevo is not a style. That is the first thing to understand, and it is the thing that almost everyone gets wrong.
It is a way of thinking, a methodology. The people who developed it did not sit down one day and decide to make tango look different. They were experienced dancers, people who had spent decades in traditional milongas, and they started asking a question that turned out to be surprisingly difficult. How does tango actually work? Not what are the steps, but what are the fundamental elements that make those steps possible? What is really happening when a leader and follower communicate through the embrace?
When you start breaking tango down to its smallest parts, something interesting happens. You realize that the traditional vocabulary of steps, the cross, the ocho, the giro, are not the foundation. They are the result. The foundation is something more basic: how bodies share an axis, how weight transfers, how intention travels through a point of contact, how two people create a shared movement from a single impulse. Once you understand those things clearly, you can put them back together in any number of ways. The traditional vocabulary is one set of combinations, but it is not the only one. This is where the freedom comes from, not from a desire to show off, not from a rejection of tradition, from understanding. When a Nuevo dancer opens the embrace or moves off axis or creates a figure that has no traditional name, it is because they are working with the same building blocks as the traditional dancer, just assembling them differently. The grammar is the same, the sentence comes out differently.
Connection for a Nuevo dancer is not the same as physical contact. This is perhaps the deepest difference. Connection is attention. It is the quality of presence that one person offers to another. It is being completely tuned to your partner's body, its weight, its intentions, its responses, so that you move together as one system rather than two separate people. That quality of attention can exist in a close embrace. It can also exist across a few inches of open space. What it cannot exist in is a close embrace where one or both people are somewhere else in their minds, going through familiar movements on autopilot.
The Golden Age milongueros were not preserving anything, they were exploring. Every great milonguero of that era danced differently from every other, and they were proud of it. They did not think of themselves as keepers of a tradition. They thought of themselves as dancers, finding their own voice inside the music. Tango Nuevo, in that sense, is not a departure from the spirit of the Golden Age. It might be the closest thing to it that exists today. The same curiosity, the same willingness to find out what tango can do that has not been done before. The same belief that the dance is not finished yet. I hope you enjoyed that chapter of the book,
The Black and White of Argentine Tango, Both Sides of Tango's Greatest Debates. You can find the book on Amazon for worldwide delivery. Just type The Black and White of Argentine Tango and allow yourself to dive deep into Argentine Tango's greatest debates.